How's it going, YouTube? My name is Rob McCabe. I'm a music teacher, producer, and performer. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the 10 by 10 Practice Challenge, where I challenge myself to practice for 10 days for 10 minutes each day and show you the results. I don't want to bog down the very first video by telling you too much about the purpose of this channel, but here's what you need to know. First of all, this is not about mastery. Mastery takes years and years of dedication and practice to whatever instrument or concept or song or piece of music that you are working on. That's not what this channel is about. Instead, this channel is meant to inspire the viewers to find what they can accomplish through careful planning and intentional goal setting. Perhaps more importantly, this channel aims to show you the difficult spots in achieving that goal. Let's dive in. On today's episode, I'm focusing on drum rudiments. In particular, I'm focusing on paradiddles. And to be even more particular, I'm focusing on revitalizing my own paradiddles. My main instrument is percussion, but it's been a long time since I've been in practice, and my rudiments are very, very rusty. The next thing I'm going to do is talk about how I set my goals. If this is something you would like to skip, I'll put an annotation down there in the comments so that you can skip straight to the video. Here's an outline of my goals for today's episode. When I tackle practice, I like to use something known as SMART goals. Now, depending on your profession, when you hear that word, you might kind of cringe, because SMART goals are not specific to music. They're used in business, they're used in education, they're used in marketing. And that said, I do think that they offer a very solid framework that is beneficial for us to set our goals and really see our improvement over a very specified amount of time. SMART, in this instance, is an acronym. Each letter stands for something. S, in this case, stands for specific. M stands for measurable. A stands for attainable. R stands for relevant. And T stands for time-bound. Each of these letters varies slightly depending on your specific circumstances, but this is mainly how they are most often seen. As I approach to revitalizing my paradiddles, here is what I would specifically assign to each letter. S, specific. I would like to increase my 16th note paradiddle speed from 115 beats per minute to 150 beats per minute while maintaining a high level of consistency. Notice that I didn't simply say, get better at paradiddles. That is not specific enough and therefore does not meet this part of the goal. Also, these are not simply numbers that I pulled out of thin air. I took the time to test myself and see where I was currently at, and then decided where I wanted to be. M, measurable. I will use a metronome to determine the speed at which I am playing the rudiment. A, since this is a technique that I have been able to achieve in the past, I am confident that I will be able to achieve it again at this tempo. R, relevant. This will help me in many of the things I do on the drums, be it recording or performing. T, time-bound. This was set in the challenge. The time will be over the course of 10 days and 10 minutes per day of practice. One thing to note is that all of these are tied together. If my goal were, for example, to increase my tempo to 200 beats per minute, 10 days for 10 minutes a day would likely not be attainable. All right, that's it. You're about to see a short snippet from the end of each 10-minute practice session. Let's begin the video. I'll stop in every couple of sessions to give a little bit of commentary, and I will also give my observations at the end of the video. Okay, so one of the very first things that I notice as I watch myself practice is my sticks are really flailing. They are not really focused on a particular point on the drum pad, and I do remember that I kind of noticed this while I was practicing. Hopefully we see myself fix that a little bit. Right now my hands are really flailing. There's a lot of excess movement that doesn't need to be there. And these are the types of things that you don't notice unless you watch yourself practice, which is something I highly recommend you do. Let's keep going. Okay, so that's a good place to stop there real quick to make a couple of comments. Especially in those last 2 days, I noticed that tempo was too fast, and I even noted it in the video there that 150 BPM at that point in time was way too fast for me. You could see it not only in my hands, but you could also hear it. You could hear that I was behind the beat. I was trying to catch up. I think it's important as we go through day to day that we're able to formatively assess sort of where we are. And if we need to, there's no shame in taking a step back and slowing things down again. All right. Realizing that what we're currently doing is a little bit too much for us. All right. And that we've got to slow down. You know, when I initially was making this, I was starting to approach that 150 range. And I was thinking, man, I'm going to be at this goal prior to 10 days. That didn't happen because once I got to 150 BPM, what you just saw is what happened. And therefore, I had to, and you'll see in these next couple of days, I had to slow it down and I had to take a break from pushing myself too hard. So here are my observations having watched that full video. What I like to do is I like to assess myself based on a 4-point scale. And that 4-point scale looks like this. 0 to 1 means I have not achieved a goal. 2 means I'm approaching the goal. 3 means I have achieved the goal or I'm on level with what the goal is asking for. And 4 means that I've exceeded the goal and I'm potentially ready to move on to the next thing, or I'm ready to add something. Now, as it relates to this video, here's how I would set each level. 0 to 1 means that I'm nowhere close to the tempo, I'm falling behind, I'm making constant mistakes, etc. Number 2 means that I'm able to play at or just behind the tempo, but still have a lot of tension and or hesitation. The third step on the scale is where I'm able to play on tempo, very rarely falling behind, no signs of struggle to keep up. 4 is where I'm virtually flawless, ready to increase tempo, and as once again, add something else, another level of complexity. Remember, this is in relation to my own goal. This has nothing to do with comparing it to anybody else. It has nothing to do with comparing it to any standard. Also, please remember, in no way am I suggesting that you can achieve mastery over something simply by practicing it for 10 days, 10 minutes a day. My goal is to show you, remember, that planned and consistent and intentional practice and goal setting can yield very positive results. For this goal, I would give myself a 2. I might stretch that to about a 2.5 if I were being very generous for myself. But as I watched it, and as I was playing at the tempo, as I was playing at the goal tempo, I still noticed some tension in my hands. I didn't notice the level of ease or the fluidity that I would like to see in order to consider myself playing at the level of the goal. I don't look at that as a negative. I see that as I definitely am on my way to getting to the goal, and I'm on my way to really being able to achieve what I set out to do, but I just don't think I'm there yet. So, where would I go with this particular technique? Where would I go with this particular rudiment? For starters, I would probably spend a bunch of time hanging around that 140 to 150 beats per minute tempo range and just drill that for a little while until it really felt comfortable. And while I'm doing that, being exceedingly cognizant of the tension that is in my hands and all of the things going on there. Second of all, I would probably add, and once again, this would probably come after I have achieved that sort of 3 or 4 level at that tempo, but I would probably start to practice that using different types of strokes. For example, legato strokes, or putting the accent on a different beat. You probably noticed as I was playing, I was always putting the accent on the downbeat in this particular example. It is very practical to practice putting the accent on either different beats or to play using all legato strokes. All of that said, let's watch day 1 versus day 10, and let's sort of see what happens when you put those two side by side. Thank you so very much for watching this video. What do you think? Any ideas for me? Any ideas on how I can improve my practice? What else should I be practicing? What do you recommend for me to practice next? Feel free to leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And what about you? What 10 by 10 practice challenge are you going to attempt? Feel free to create your own and tag me on Instagram at RWMcCabeMusic. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.